Hey everyone, this is Scott from Forgot to Grow Up. Welcome to our latest TV talk. Today I'm going to be talking about why Apple should buy MGM but won't. Today it was announced, or there was some articles released talking about how MGM is looking into being acquired, and it has met with different companies like Netflix and Apple about talks of a acquisition of MGM, which has properties like Bond and Stargate and RoboCop and a bunch of stuff. It's one of the oldest studios in Hollywood. And so this obviously was a big piece of the news today, and this did not surprise me one little bit that MGM was trying to sell. I had suspicions of this last year. MGM had their own Stargate app at one point, which they shut down at the end of last year, and that made me be like, oh, you guys are just definitely going to try and sell this soon. And so hearing this news didn't surprise me, especially considering that like the companies they met with, like Netflix and Apple, and the fact that like this would make news because we got Bond coming up, and Bond's is probably MGM's one, arguably their biggest franchise. RoboCop and Rocky are obviously big too, but the fact that this kind of made news didn't surprise me, but it is interesting to me because I'm like, Apple definitely should buy MGM, but I don't think they will. And so why they should buy MGM is obviously things like Bond and RoboCop, and the fact that they have Apple TV Plus now, and it only has a few series on it. They don't have an extensive content library, so buying MGM would give them like a content library the equivalent of like a Disney Plus or a Netflix or these other companies that already have huge libraries built up, versus Apple, who's got like 5 shows I think right now, maybe 5 to 10 shows right now, all their own Apple originals, which is the part of the reason why I don't think they will be purchasing MGM, which is they could have done it before. That's why is the biggest thing that it came down to. They could have bought pretty much. There was a number of content libraries out there that they could easily afford, like Sony Pictures, MGM, and there's a few others that I've seen have little articles pop up about these different acquisition possibilities. And so the fact that Apple didn't buy one of these content libraries before they had launched their service, to me, says that they're not planning on purchasing another content library, because they, like I said, they could have done it at any point before they launched it. They could have done it in the last few months. They have the money. It's not for Apple. It is not a matter of like, oh, do we have the funds to spend on this? They could easily spend billions and billions of dollars getting any one of these content libraries, or could have leading up to the launch of it, so that they had like pretty much like Disney did with their acquisition of 20th Century Fox, bringing in, like, pretty much doing a big promotion around the fact that, oh, The Simpsons are coming to Disney Plus when we launch it. Make sure you see, we bought this, we're going to put this here. So that to me is like, okay, if Apple was planning on doing something along those similar lines, they would have already done it. They would have been like, oh yeah, we bought MGM a year ago, and when we launched, you'll be able to watch all the classic MGM movies and all these different franchises that they own. But they didn't do that, which is the biggest reason why I don't think that they're going to be buying another content library. Yes, it's possible that having launched their service and having run it for a few months, they realize that they don't have enough content to kind of sustain the growth that they're hoping for. But that being said, I still think that they're probably going to lean more heavily towards creating more of their own original things, as opposed to buying a content library. But I also do think that they should. If they do go out and buy one, I'll be like, yeah, good job, guys. That was smart. You should have done this already. I'll actually subscribe, because that being like, because I'm not subscribed to Apple TV Plus at the moment, because of the shows they launched, there was one I cared about, and I was like, to be honest, I'm not willing to pay $6 a month for one show just to watch like the 8 episodes of C with Jason Momoa. That's the only reason I want to watch any of the shows. So I definitely think they should buy MGM. There's all these different properties that they could would be a big kind of draw for their subscription, with Bond and RoboCop, etc. Stargate's my big thing, but I don't think they will, because I do think they want to Apple's pretty big on having everything kind of in their own ecosystem, and kind of wanting to keep that. So that's why I think they started with all the Apple originals, and why they'll continue to just try and pump out Apple originals. I think they maybe will step up on the buying some content, but not as much as like I think they'll buy new content that hasn't been released, as opposed to maybe developing all of it on their own. But that being said, they do have a certain brand image that they want to keep, and I don't think necessarily buying another content library kind of meshes with the the Apple kind of like I said, brand image of new is the nicest kind of way to put it. They're all about always new. That's why you get a new iPhone every year. They're big on the whole new thing. So buying an old library and old content to me seems like, I don't know if it's their move. Plus it'd be weird to kind of, if they bought one of these big content libraries, it would take a chunk out of their own revenues from iTunes, or whatever it's called now. I'm not sure if it's even called iTunes anymore, but I'm going to call it iTunes still. So whatever the money they're making from, say Bond, iTunes rentals, they would then not be making that money, or they'd still make some of it, obviously, for whoever's not subscribed, but it would be, they would be cannibalizing some of their own sales in that sense. So this is why I think so yeah, in a big, long, roundabout way, that's why I think they should buy it to get the content library, but I don't think they will, because I think they want to stick with their kind of brand image of creating their own things and being able to keep those kind of in line with the brand image, as opposed to if they buy content library, it's a little harder. They don't have, it is and isn't harder, because they could pick and choose of the content they'd want to keep and just, let Netflix have the rest via, contracts and stuff. But that being said, I don't think Apple will end up buying MGM. But yeah, be sure to let me know, though, in the comments below what you think. Do you think Apple will buy MGM? Do you think they should buy MGM? I'm always curious to hear other people's thoughts on that. But thanks again for joining me today. Subscribe to the channel if you already, and have a good one.